This one is for the stopper. This is for starting the automatic. With the laser, you can switch on the laser here in the front, but usually it's always switched on. We are going back. The first one was the dimension without memory, so we just put in what we need. The second one is dimension with memory. Here you can put in your favorite or most common dimensions. If you're choosing the input option here, you can put in, for example, 175 and edit. You can choose a free slot and add other dimension, whatever is necessary. You also can delete it again if you just put in a 0. And if you deactivate the input again, then you can choose the dimension, and once you start the automatic here, it will go to the dimension and cut it. So, for example, we are going to the 150, say automatic start. Another thing is, every time you start the automatic, it will go to the position, make a cut unless you have grabbed into the light curtain here. So if I start it again, the table still moves to the correct position, but it doesn't make the cut. Then you can still use the two buttons to make the cut. And finish the automatic, just for safety reason, once you put inside. The same issue with the same function we have when you're cutting sheets larger than 300. So if you have really large pieces, the automatic will be interrupted. So we'll go to the 350. You'll see that the table is positioned, but it doesn't cut. It's for safety reasons, since maybe you can grab underneath the light curtain here. Probably don't have the table long enough here, so we'll stop, and now you have to cut with two hands. You have here the information to but like I said, it is only for very large pieces. Dimension with laser, already had that, so the measurement by the laser will be cut it. And we have a few other ones that are not in use very often. Should I explain them all as well, or should we first talk about other things?
The basic, the common usage of our laser.
So these are the most common. We have another one here with dimension and laser. So here we can put in the dimension the same way like on the other surface. The difference is that is now choose the next smaller one. So the laser will be on 249. You will see, okay, right now we can cut down to 230. So in case of your very common dimensions, you can put it in. With the laser, you can measure what is the maximum that I get out of the veneer, and basically the next smaller useful dimension. Dimension, diffuser, and laser. Here we'll calculate what you have to cut for the finished panel. So right now we have two different panels here with a finished dimension of 600 and 800. So with the dimension of 129 right now, measured by the laser, it recommends to take 5 sheets, each 120. So when I make a cut right now, it will cut down to 100. You know, I have to take 5 sheets of these and put it together on the splicer. If I move it a little bit, it will jump over to another, to the 800, because I would say right now we have less cutoff. So it always much waste we have, and what will be the optimum that we cut down. You also can choose right now, we have it equal and unequal. If you go to 246, it will also change a little bit here, and you only have 4, 6, or equal number. It always depends how many joints you want to have on your finished sheet. For example, if you don't want to have a joint directly in the middle, then you can change equal and unequal numbers. With the input here, you can change the dimension for the finished panel. If you want to add something here, maybe this, at some point it will jump over and say, okay, I can cut out 1100 out of it. Okay, width's unequal. That is basically a counter. So, for example, if I'm going to the 600 here, with the button over here, I can delete the last entry. So now it's all clear, and it will add up whatever we cut. So the sheet should be 600, and it should be put together all from different veneer bundles, like plane match. Then you can use this function here. So you choose with the laser what is the maximum, you make it up, and then the table. And now we have the 137 inside there, and we know, okay, we still need 460 finish our sheet to get to the 600. And now you can continue with different bundles until you have the 600 that is necessary. And when you take one sheet from each bundle together, and you have the finished 600. With the input number here, you can change the different widgets here. And depending on which one you are working, it will count and add it up. Okay. Now we have increment dimensions. There we will cut down the whole sheet to small stripes. So the difference is that the table my position here. Now we can say, well, I have a large piece here, and I want to cut it down to 100 millimeter pieces. Then I can start with the automatic. We'll make it right there. The video starts, the table moves 100 millimeter, makes another cut. So that will be our first sheet, 100. Another one, and then it goes to the 0 position. And now we would have the cutoff in the front, cutoff in the back, and two sheets with a dimension of 200 in the middle. Important is if you use this option here to move the table. All the other functions are starting on the 0 position of the table. With this one here, you have to move the table first and then start with the automatic. The buttons down here, moving table, backwards, forwards, fast and slow. And the cut counters. We will reset it, the second one this morning, so in case of you want to see how much you have done over a shift or over a week, you can use the cut counter here, push the Löschen button, so that means delete, it's not translated, and you can reset it to 0. Another thing is here, operation. The position means where the table stopped right now. Every time after a cut, the table will go position. We also can change it that it stays on the same position. So after a cut, it doesn't move back. For the stopper in the back, when you switch it to automatic, the stopper in the back will come up after each cut. But I talked to the operator, and they said it's better when it stays down. So you still can choose to lift it up with a button over here. Unit, millimeter, and language. Here we have a test program that is important for your maintenance guys. We have here all the input and output of the PLC, and it's also down here which one should be true and which one should be false. So in case of I push any button over here, you see that the input will light up. So it's a little bit easier to figure out if you have any wrong information over there, or if any buttons or inputs are there or not there like it's supposed to be. Okay. With the function that we have here on the panel. next thing will be the regular service. I already talked with your operators. We have different spots to grease on this machine. All these greasing spots are marked down here. So here are a couple of informations which grease spot should be greased and used. Overall, most of them once in a month, it's quite fine. Then we wanted to start changing the knife. The easiest way is that we put a little bit to the back, then we make a cut. Now the blade is already in the lower position. Right now we can switch off the machine, then we can start to remove all the screws here, and once we have them removed, we can bring the beam up manually. We have to open it up here. We have a handle to release the brake and a handle to move the guillotine up and down. So if I put it in here, this one here is spring loaded, so we have to push it while we turn it. Otherwise it will jump out. So with this one here I can release the brake from the motor and then I can turn it by hand. So once we have removed all the screws here, I can release the brake here and bring the beam at a higher position, and the blade here will stay on the table. Once we have reached the correct height of the beam here, we can take out the blade and bring in the new one. I usually make a mark here on the side, so when we put on the new one, we already have the same position for the new blade, and then it's a little bit easier to hit the bolts and the holes for it. We also have for the knife here, so once the beam is high enough, you can put the handle into the, and then it's a little bit easier to take it out and put it back in. In any case, always work with two people here. Important since the blade is quite heavy, and even when it's not sharp enough for the wood anymore, it's still sharp enough to hurt you really, really bad. So please be careful with the large blades over here. Okay?
Sorry to interrupt, do you have any
a new blade inside. You can bring it here to the minimum position, and then you still have to adjust the cutting depth of the knife. You can adjust it with a part here in the middle, so we have to loose over here. One is right threaded, the other one is left threaded, so take care when you loose them. Once when they are loose, you can turn this here, and then you change the distance between the part here and the beam. So if you increase it, it doesn't cut so deep. If you decrease it, it will cut deeper. That's how you adjust the minimum position and the cutting depths of the knife. You also have the nuts and the other one here for turning. Okay. but right now it's still good. You see that when the lowest sheet of the veneer isn't good anymore. So we make a cut and the lowest one just rips apart or isn't cut all the way. Then it's about time to change the lower one. I did it with the operators here. When you add the new one, it's important that everything is completely clean. No rest from the tape or something like that. Then we put on the sticky tape on one side here. So you see these are here the sticky tape that we have put on the cutting carpet, and then you can put on the new one on the table. Okay.
We need to reset this.
Now I can show you how to change the blade in the back. So here we have to just leave it in the lower position like we have right now. Then we remove all the screws here, and on the left side and on the right side we have one screw with a gap. So then you can put in the handle here, and then you are able to lift it up. Okay. When you bring in the new one, you should clean it very good underneath it, because of if you still have a little bit of dust underneath it and the blade is on the dust, then the angle isn't correct and it's getting a little bit difficult to adjust it properly.
Yeah.
So,
And it has got a resting point?
This one also must be adjusted, but hydraulic and not with a motor. We have to adjust it with the limit switch over there. I can show you that. Here you can use, and when you turn the screw here on top, you increase or decrease the deeps of the cut. So if you turn it clockwise, the knife will be higher. If you turn it counterclockwise, the knife will be lower. Okay. So this whole beam here moves up. The limit switch hits the top here,
Okay.
and then it say, okay, I'm done, and switch is off. In case of it is completely out of adjustment, or you have a new blade, you don't know how to adjust it. We have here you can lay it here on top of it, and then it should almost here on the same height. Yeah? So that's
a reference.
to yeah, like a reference. What I always recommend is adjust it a little, and then you put veneer underneath it on the right side and on the left side. Then you make a cut, and when it's not cutted, then you adjust it a little bit deeper, and then you repeat it every time here, maybe a quarter or a half turn. So in case of you adjust the knife too deep, the carpet here will be worn out much faster, and your blade getting the edge getting bad quite fast.
And this one, when you correct this on the both the movements,
The cutting deeps for the whole beam, if it should go higher or lower on one side. So in case of the veneer is cut it on the left side and not cut it on the right side, then we have to adjust it in the front. That's the next thing I can show you.
yeah, okay.
Use this adjustment here. So we use the nut here in the front, and then we can turn over here, and behind that there is the accenter. So in case of I move it, the right side will cut deeper or lower than the other one. So that's why it's important when you test the blade for the put something on the right side, like this here, and on the left side, and then you see directly if it's cut or not, and then you can adjust it with this one. Yes, the same for the top plate here, where you have to loose the 4 screws here and move the handle a little bit, so we can adjust the blade on the right side higher or lower, and the same on the other side. Yeah. So that's to adjust that everything is parallel, and with the nut over here, you can adjust the beats of it.
So this one and that one is for the top blade.
Yes.
These two are for the blades behind.
Goes for the lower knife.
Yes. And how is this mechanism when you adjust this? It is
When you have, once you have adjusted, you have to tighten the nut here, and then everything is fine.
okay. How the mechanism works? Is it
Pressure in here, and the lower knife is driven by hydraulic. Driven by hydraulic.
hydraulic? Okay. This is a servo motor for the top.
There, no, for the top blade is the most important parts for this machine.
Okay, so
You forget anything?
I hope we get all the informations that we need. Thank you. Okay, please proceed.
So here's the main switch, and we have to wait a little bit until the panel is every time we shut down the machine, it's important that we bring the beam in the lowest position, so we have pressure on the, otherwise the beam maybe drops down overnight a little bit, or the carpet removes from the upper one. Before we can start, we have to wait for the panel, and we also have to switch on the power here. Now the panel is ready, and the third thing is that we bring the beam up with the button down here. Then we can bring the table to the 0 position. And now we are basically ready to start. We have the different operations here to use. The easiest way is dimension without memory, where we just put in the dimension that we want to cut. For example, 100. Then we say OK. And we can start the automatic either with the button down here or with the button here on the side. So both have the same function. Now we take 100 millimeters, cut the front plate and the back plate at the same time, since we have adjusted both. If you want to cut only with the front plate, you can choose it over here. But most of the time we cut with both, since they're adjusted completely parallel to each other. Button for the high and the lower pressure of the beam. When you work all day long with long pieces, it's recommended to work with a higher pressure. If you only have small pieces, then you can go down to the lower pressure, since for the beam. Although if you have short pieces and always a high pressure on each side of the beam might dent a little bit. But when you have small pieces in between, you don't have to change all the time. Okay. The high pressure. This here is like a double cut, so when we start the automatic again, the knife will be to the front, make a cut, readjust it by a tenth of a millimeter, and then cut again. So when we put veneer inside the machine, you can see it a little bit better. Maybe the thing is that we have here the stopper. So when we bring that up, we can adjust the veneer a little bit easier, and we can bring it down manually. Choose dimension with laser. Then I can have a look, okay, what is the maximum of the veneer. So we can look where is good quality and where start the bad quality. And when we then start, it will measure from the laser, and the table will go to the same position. So I cut off a little bit more, and then you will see our double cut is working. No, we don't have the double cut. That was my bad. So it's an option that is still here on the panel, but the mechanic isn't installed on this machine. so we don't use it for this machine. We have a couple of other